and thank you for joining us here at Frank Talks. If I were to inform you that this year's BET Award show on Sunday night garnered one of the highest viewership ratings in recent history, would you find that to be credible? Furthermore, what if I were to assert that this year's show, regrettably, had a setback for the Black community, unlike any seen in previous years? Would you consider that claim plausible? Now, the ensuing discussion will shed light on why certain individuals share this sentiment, along with insights into why a specific segment of the Black community perceives that BET no longer aligns with its former reputation. Now, while the exact viewership numbers are pending, the fundamental premise remains valid. And we will delve into this topic and more. So let's get into it after this. Thank you for tuning in to Frank Talks this evening. Now, the BET Awards have concluded, leaving a lasting impact on viewers with notable performances, speeches, and numerous questions concerning the alleged agenda set forth by BET. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this alleged agenda has led many in a particular sector of the Black community to call for a boycott of BET after this year's award show. How has BET transitioned from its illustrious past to what we see now in its current state? Now, as many of you know, BET was founded by Robert L. Johnson, better known as Bob Johnson. And he founded it when he stepped down as a lobbyist for the cable industry and decided to launch his own cable network. Now, Johnson acquired a loan for $15,000 and, get this, a $500,000 investment from media executive John Malone to actually start the network. Now, the network, which was named again Black Entertainment Television, launched on January 25th, 1980. The network initially featured a lineup comprising music videos and reruns of popular Black sitcoms. And it was not until 1983 that BET evolved into a standalone entity, distinct from other channels or programming blocks. Now, despite this independence, the network shared channel space with other cable networks on local cable systems, like USA Network, for several years due to limited channel availability for their round-the-clock programming, until the advent of digital cable expanded channel capacity. Now, Bob Johnson led the network, achieving a significant milestone by becoming the first Black-controlled television company listed on the New York Stock Exchange in 1991. However, in 2001, the network was acquired by the media conglomerate Viacom, later integrated into Paramount Global for $3 billion. Now, subsequently, in 2005, Johnson retired from the network, passing on his roles as president and chief executive officer to former BET vice president Deborah L. Lee. Now, in 2002, the network then introduced two additional music-focused channels, BET Hip Hop and BET Gospel. Now, following BET's acquisition by Viacom, significant transformations occurred, eliciting criticism for their impact on the black community. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. After the purchase, the turnover to Viacom, then there were criticisms, critiques from the black community. Now, numerous scholars within the African American community argue that BET reinforces and legitimizes racial prejudices by perpetuating stereotypes of black Americans. Furthermore, they suggest that the network influences the mindset of its young audience by consistently portraying negative images of black Americans. Now, we see that at this time, these were negative images. Now, in a 2010 interview, BET co-founder Sheila Johnson, she explained that she herself is ashamed of what the network has become. She stated, and I quote, "I don't watch it. I suggest to my kids that they don't watch it," she said. When we started BET, it was going to be the Ebony magazine on television. We had public affairs programming. We had news. I had a show called Teen Summit. We had a large variety of programming, but the problem is that then the video revolution started up, and then something started happening, and I didn't like it at all. And I remember during those days, we would sit up and watch these videos and decide which ones were going on and which ones were not. We got a lot of backlash from recording artists, and we had to start showing them. I didn't like the way women were being portrayed in these videos, end quote. Now, if Sheila Johnson expressed apprehensions about the portrayal of women in the past, one can only speculate on her stance regarding their present representation. Now, it prompts contemplation on whether the portrayal of black women reflects societal evolution or shifts in ownership from the Johnsons to Viacom. Now, many argue that progressive ideologies and the feminist movement have played a more significant role in this transformation than simply the changes within rap music. Now, consequently, this year's BET Awards symbolize a decisive moment where many draw a symbolic boundary, the proverbial, as we call it, line in the sand. Now, many dedicated viewers of the BET Awards have grown accustomed to the fashion choices exhibited by both male and female attendees and participants. Now, it is widely shared. It's a widely shared sentiment that the fashion showcased during these events often falls short of expectations, mirroring the prevailing fashion trends within the black community. Now, the male demographic is increasingly embracing a more subdued, and I would say feminine attire, a trend even observed among the most hardcore of rap artists. Now, while women are increasingly opting for masculine attire and aesthetics, or they choose what I would consider to be more risque attire, which makes one performance, again, in this year's BET Awards, one performance in particular, one that has many people calling for a boycott of BET after the show. Now let's watch, and we'll be right back, all right? Now, you saw the video. Now, numerous critiques have characterized the tribute to singer Usher as a significant disappointment. Now, while some have perceived it as aligning with an agenda that reinforces the notion that black men are becoming less essential or even desirable to black women. Now, one such commenter stated, this is from Nicole Veda. She simply says, "I guess no man could be a man for the Usher performance." Now, this commenter, Pootie Ryan, what a name, appears to offer another frame of thought concerning this performance when they say, "Did anyone ever actually think that the reason why there were all females there is because Usher always serenades ladies at his concerts and to give him the opportunity to have it done to him? All in all, the ladies did a great job." Now, Suave Fit challenges whether there were any male artists available when that person states, "Women doing a male artist tribute is crazy work. Luke James, Lucky Day, Chris Brown, Duran, etc. were not available." So they question the availability of male performers, male artists. Similarly, the Hair Transformers shared their dislike for the tribute along with recommendations for other talented male artists. And when they said it, the Hair Transformers said, "Didn't like the Usher tribute, not one bit. Why did all these females perform when there's talented male artists like Tank, Tyrese, and he was there, Genuine, RL, Cisco, etc." Now, commenter Young Luch referenced the muted speech from the beneficiary himself. He says, Young Luch says, "No male singer wanted to salute Usher. No wonder he cursing y'all blank out." Now, however, listen, many have noted that his speech was muted. It was muted and blaming technical difficulties. But it was this commenter's statement that really seemed to capture the reason why I believe black men should boycott BET after this year's award show. This commenter said, Andy Moan 2 says, "What type of agenda was BET pushing tonight? This was a classless tribute. In contemporary society, I want you to know that the mere mention of an agenda often triggers skepticism among a significant portion of the black population. They are simply quick to attribute it to conspiracy theories, thus undermining the credibility of the argument presented. Now, I acknowledge that even I, as a reporter, have at times found it challenging to discuss an alleged agenda without invoking thoughts of conspiracy. However, I aim to offer a perspective that steers away from conspiracy theories. And many individuals highlight a prevalent trend not only with Black America, but also in Western civilization, where there appears to be a considerable deliberate shift sidelining men in favor of women. As a father of daughters, I wholeheartedly embrace the progress women are making across various domains such as education, entertainment, faith, and even in business. Nevertheless, there are instances where I find myself, and maybe it's you as well, questioning the appropriateness of such placements. Now, it is noteworthy that in recent years, the liberal media in Hollywood has increasingly cast women in roles that, in my humble opinion, might have been better suited for men. Now, regrettably, several of these movies have failed to resonate with audiences and have underperformed at the box office as a consequence. Movies like this one, The Marvels, as well, unfortunately, as the movie The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this trend of diminishing male presence in prominent roles within the film and television industry represents merely the surface of a more profound issue. Particularly, the shift towards reducing the role of men within households stands as the overarching objective, introducing complexity, especially for Black men. Now, a noticeable development is the increasing assertion by Black women proclaiming, "I'm educated, I'm successful in my career, hence I do not need to rely on a man." Now, this raises a pertinent question. Now, have you observed women from other racial and ethnic backgrounds advocating a similar perspective? That is my question. Have you observed that? While acknowledging that this sentiment may exist among other groups, it is essential to reflect on the frequency with which it is articulated. It may be that it is the way that they feel, but it's not that we hear from them as often as we hear from our own. The predominant advocacy of this viewpoint again has predominantly been associated with Black women. Now, while this stance may not be representative of the majority of Black women, the amplification of these voices could distort perceptions, creating an impression of a more widespread acceptance of such beliefs. Now, many believe this agenda was purportedly in effect during this year's BET Awards show. Now, in the performance featuring Teyana Taylor and Victoria Monet, in that tribute to Usher. Now, Teyana's substitution for Usher and the synchronized choreography between the two artists have sparked discussion regarding BET's apparent preference. Did you hear that? Their apparent preference. This has led to the perception that, similar to the Democratic Party, Black men are not considered viable options or even given due consideration. Now, after such a performance, following that performance, numerous people raised questions, and I had questions. This reporter had questions, because it became evident that a significant shift was imminent. Yes, the writing was on the wall, at least in my mind, and in the minds of many men, that BET has determined, hear me close, guys, that Black men hold no value to them. I don't like that. But in his acceptance speech, Usher paid a touching tribute to his mother, acknowledging her strength as a Black woman in America and her pivotal role in raising him as a single parent. Now, this sentiment underscores the power and resilience embodied by Black women. As the modern Black woman steps into her power, it is paramount to recognize the weight of responsibility that accompanies such influence. Now, to Black men, to my brothers, I offer a challenge. Now, instead of attempting to influence women or networks like BET to alter their agendas, consider directing your focus elsewhere. Initiating a boycott of such networks, as some have already begun, can serve as a more impactful response. Now, while changing these networks or the viewers who support them may prove challenging, your commitment to supporting and guiding your daughters remains within your control and influence. So don't complain, don't worry about it, just turn it off and invest the necessary time to demonstrate the genuine love that a father can impart, becoming the initial male figure they cherish deeply, albeit not the final one that they will hold dear. At least we hope not. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you. Good night, and thank you for having this frank and honest talk. Good night.